Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about how all of these beloved animated series like She-Ra and The Owl House and Infinity
Beloved
Train,
in quotes.
beloved, have been canceled recently, and it could be YouTube's fault.
Yep. But
and-
not in the way that they want to scream about.
No, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the continued backlash from Netflix She-Ra fans.
I got lots of comments.
We got comments.
Get your popcorn, grab your butts.
Get your popcorn, grab your butts. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why it seems like all of the networks, Cartoon Network, and maybe not Netflix so much, but it seems like everybody's pivoting into kids entertainment, little kids entertainment, not cartoons for teenagers, young
We did a
adults.
video on that before where they were like basically, we were actually in a meeting about pitching shows, and they flat out told us that the stuff they're getting prepped to pitch is for young kids because that's what the studios are buying.
Yeah, we're not gonna say who the meeting was with, but it actually was with a production company that historically has produced content for an older crowd.
Well, they've done younger crowd too.
Some, but not, I think the stuff they're best known for is older,
Yeah.
and they're basically like, yeah, we're switching everything to preschool.
Because that's what they're looking for, and that's what they told us directly.
So-
And that was just a couple months ago.
So don't blame Clownfish TV for She-Ra, blame Cocomelon.
It's okay, but I'll blame you guys for She-Ra, so
We're
continue.
gonna talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, over 235,000 subs.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much for the support. And yeah, we do talk a lot about the animation industry, talk about comics, talk about pop culture and kind of the business side of things. And it's interesting because people seem to think we have a lot more power than we actually do. We are
Yeah.
a relatively small YouTube channel, and how small we are is going to become very apparent when we look at the numbers of some of these
But
animation
somehow we
channels.
control everything.
Yeah, somehow
It's always our fault.
we control everything. We somehow were able to get She-Ra canceled and get a live action reboot greenlit
That we don't even want.
that nobody wants because we know it's going to be terrible. It's going to be budget cut. It's going to be terrible.
It's not going to work. I can't see She-Ra, any version of She-Ra being a live action show where it actually works. It's going to be like we had the Dolph Lundgren and He-Man. He was He-Man the whole time. They didn't have a transformation. So probably like make her a She-Ra the whole time.
Yeah, if I had to guess, okay, so let's talk about that here real
Let's
quick.
talk about She-Ra first.
Yeah, we'll talk about She-Ra first. So there's a lot of salt from DreamWorks She-Ra fans because it was announced that,
Boo fucking who? Sorry, Mom.
hey, they told us to, it wasn't for us to get over it.
Oh, I have comments. I have many comments, but go ahead.
So there was a lot of salt. Amazon is going to reboot.
And you know what
She-Ra.
they're going to do? They're going to make She-Ra not white, not blonde. They're going to probably make her fat. They're going to, don't worry, she's probably still going to be a lesbian.
You know what? If I had to guess, yeah, that's the biggest concern. Some of the comments you came across on
Oh yeah,
some
our
message boards.
representation. Lesbians. They better have lesbians. She-Ra better be lesbians. They are straight washing She-Ra. I'm like, bitch, please. She was straight for 30-some years. You actually lesbian washed her, and now you're mad because they may put her back to what she was for the 30-some years till you guys messed with it.
Yeah, I don't think they realized the very first story with She-Ra and Catra in the comic books that came with the dolls was She-Ra and Catra fighting over Bo.
Could you imagine Catra in live action?
Cats.
It's going to be cats.
Cats.
And you know what else? Catra and She-Ra, Catra and Adora, that relationship in the DreamWorks version is a toxic, load of shit relationship. I'm sorry. Catra's a terrible, terrible person. Hordak was a terrible, terrible person. And both of them like, that's okay. They're just misunderstood and they can be redeemed because representation. It's like, no, they're still terrible, terrible people.
It's like, I'm going to put up with all of your shit because at least you're gay.
And they actually went, yeah, right? And the kids saved the world. I mean, come on. That's lame even for a straight show. I'm like, that's just stupid.
That's like right up there with Beauty and the Beast, the light coming out of his fingertips and toes when he transforms. Like, oh, the magic.
It's just stupid. Yeah. But they were yelling about that they were straight washing. I'm like, she was straight for decades. They're going with, what else are they going on about? Oh, our representation, it means so much to us because us, and what about us? And what it means so much to us. You know what? It meant a lot to a lot of people who are fans of the show for decades before you even guys were half of them were even born, and before you decided you owned it. And the whole time when people were mad about She-Ra, you're like, you don't own it. Fan entitlement, toxic man babies. They're just mad because they can't get off to She-Ra. And these people are just mad because we can't get off to She-Ra. You know what? Sit and spin.
We did a whole video about this.
I don't care. I still say it again. For those in the back.
The glorious salt. So there's been a lot of salt about a lot of these shows that appeal to the She-Ra cartoon stan audience getting canceled all pretty much at the same time. Owl House canceled.
And they're going to blame it on other people, and it's not. It's both. It's because of the market and the studios.
Yeah, Infinity Train canceled. And Infinity Train actually was, I think, kind of a loss.
Owl House is pretty good, too.
But here's what's going on. And we know this firsthand. Again, had a meeting not that long ago. It was within the last couple of months with a pretty sizable...
We don't know anything. Oh. We just want to scream about She-Ra, but we don't actually know anything or talk to anyone. That's what they'll tell you because they don't watch the videos. So when we talked to the people that you'd be shocked we talked to, they basically said that... everything is pivoting to little kids cartoons right now. Even Warner Brothers pulling the plug on shows like Infinity Train and chasing after shows like Bat Wheels, which is cars with Batman, because they can sell toys. Yes, that's because, basically they also get really pissed about, it's made to sell toys. Well, that doesn't make it a bad show. And you know what? Companies like to make money. And, the new She-Ra show is made to sell agenda. So it's,
The new She-Ra had no marketing. And that's the thing, even in Japan with anime, they have a plan. We talked about that before. They have a plan. When they go into it with a new series, they've got their publishing partners, they've got their toy partners, their video game partners. It's all locked down. They're like, we're gonna basically do a Demon Slayer marketing blitz, and here's the Demon Slayer merch, and here's the Demon Slayer books and the movies and the
companies want to make money. They're not doing this just so you get your representation and you feel happy about yourself. That's not why they do it.
The end of the day, you are as important to them as old school fans were to them.
Right.
But less so, because you know what? They're going back to the well and they're bringing back all kinds of classic She-Ra stuff. Not just action figures, not just dolls, but even this Kickstarter game.
Which people keep asking about. Yes, we're going to back this. Yes.
We're absolutely going to back this. Do you see any DreamWorks She-Ra in this at all? No, you do not. Did you see any DreamWorks She-Ra dolls or action figures coming up at PowerCon as part of the Masterverse? No, you did not. Because the old school fans in some ways are more valuable because we've proven over the last 3 decades that we actually buy merchandise.
Plus we kept the show around for 3 decades for them to ruin it in 2 or 3 years. But these people are going to yell because they keep using that what was made to sell toys, so it clearly sucks. You guys couldn't sell toys. That was a big problem. I'm sorry you don't want to hear it.
We've heard this from multiple people. The toys, they might go for a lot on eBay now because there weren't a whole lot of them made. But at the time, they didn't sell for shit.
Right. Companies are in business to make money. They're not in business to just to do what you want. And where's the media outlets with all the outrage articles about She-Ra? Where are they? Because you have an audience, and which we're going to talk about some of their comments here in a minute, that are demanding they get their movie, demanding that it should be canceled, demanding all this stuff, basically behaving the exact same way, actually worse than the old school fans were. And no one's doing these hit pieces about, these toxic man baby istophobes, who can't get off to She-Ra. And this is the exact same damn thing. You're behaving the exact same damn way. And we all agreed a live action show is probably a bad idea.
It's going to be terrible.
Most of us are on the same page as you and think a live action show is dumb.
Well, there we go. We can all, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So we can all agree that Amazon doing a live action She-Ra, I don't care which version of She-Ra it is, it's probably not going to be very good.
No, it's probably going to suck. It's probably going to suck.
Budget cut, live action, CW quality, yeah.
And you know another reason they're probably switching to little kids shows? Because they don't have to deal with where's that? They don't have to deal with this kind of shit.
Yeah. That's actually a big part of it.
Yeah, because look, here, we're going to go down to these comments, okay? These are the people having hissy fits. Amazon and DreamWorks said we're going to take everything that made Netflix She-Ra successful. Animated LGBT and the voice acting, all 3 things. Well, the animation and the voice acting were not great. And take it out. Great idea. We're so business smart. Yes, they are. Because there's more fans of the original She-Ra than there was of that shit show that you had on Netflix. She-Ra live action gets canceled. We want our She-Ra movie, not some live action remake. This isn't Disney. The stories and characters in the show deserve to have their stories continued and not tarnished by Netflix. I mean Amazon.
Oh, this is great. How's
that crow for you there? Why are we so critical? It's because of She-Ra's impact on the LGBT community and representation, only to find out that we may get a version where the representation is stripped away. Why are people so mad about She-Ra being changed for Netflix? Because a lot of people were connected to it very strongly for decades. And then you change for 2 years. Now you guys think you have the right to sit there and act the way you're acting after throwing shit at everybody else saying they didn't have any rights.
Maybe you should have bought more action figures. Maybe you should have bought more toys.
Maybe you should have been nicer. Now, I'm not talking about the fans of the show that were actually not out there attacking old school fans and just like the show and they stayed out of that bullshit. You're allowed to like that show. That's fine with me. As long as you weren't attacking fans and being an asshole. I have no beef with you. I have no issue with you. I've said from the beginning you're allowed to like it. But you are allowed to not like it as well. And the behavior from these people is probably a good reason why. And the demands and the fact that I think Hollywood's learning that they're never happy.
Yep.
Is probably another reason why they're like, screw this, we're going for young kids.
I have to think, because this is DreamWorks. DreamWorks also produced Voltron and the same audience. I can't imagine the nasty grams that the people working on the show have gotten. Because that's the thing about these cartoon stands. They hate the critics of the shows, but they hate the showrunners more than the critics. They I have heard story after story of showrunners or studios getting legitimate threats of violence, harassing creators endlessly to get the ships that they want, all that stuff. They're probably like, screw this. We could just do She-Ra like She-Ra was and sell some action figures, make everybody happy, and just...
It won't make everybody happy. It'll make the small vocal minority unhappy. Yeah. Because the majority of people, it wasn't well watched. I'm sorry. We actually talked to people. It wasn't that well watched, no matter how much you try to say it was. And having 10 alt accounts.
As I understand it, people were complaining. That's one of the complaints. You brought these complaints up. We're not going to say who they were. They're on message board like Reddit and stuff like that. Yeah. And we're not going to target. Now, Pink News, they actually pulled up individual tweets, so that's on them. That has nothing to do with us. But, heard complaints that they were mad that both of the He-Man shows, new He-Man shows, had action figures at launch. My understanding, talking to people close to the situation, was Mattel took a look at the Noelle Stevenson She-Ra, and they were like, we can't make toys of these characters.
Right, which is what they said was, the audience loved because it wasn't about toys. Companies have to make money.
So they basically shat out some dolls at the very end of the line.
Oh, they were like, they were bad.
I don't even think they put them into production until the show debuted because, but they were, a lot of the bodies were actually reused from other doll lines. And then, Mattel does that all the time.
I was say Mattel does do that.
Even the original Masters of the Universe, there was stuff in there from Big Jim. And,
it was Kit Bash.
But they didn't know how the line was going to do back then. But even then, they were complaining. They were complaining that the Glimmer doll, was not fat enough. Mm-hmm. She wasn't, she was too skinny, but I'm like, they weren't going to go out of their way to make a special mold for that doll for this show. They weren't going to sell. Because the people watching the show, they probably had the numbers and they're like, oh, it's a bunch of 22-year-olds, watching this show. They're not going to buy dolls. They're not going to buy shit. They don't. Yeah. There wasn't even a lot of, other than bootleg merchandise, there wasn't even a lot of merch around the show. Like, even look at some YouTube channels. They actually have more merch for Has Been Hotel than they had for DreamWorks She-Ra. They just knew this, regardless of what you think about the show, this isn't the issue, but from the financial side of it, the business side of it, which these people claim to know, they are business smart because they're going to look at the data and be like, we didn't sell shit with these characters on it. But She-Ra, we know, is popular enough to move merchandise. So
She has for decades.
So how do we do it right? And it's all classic stuff.
Well, DreamWorks too. If you're listening to this, because I know you do watch these, if you do a live action show, which I'd recommend you don't, but if you do push it, you do not want to start out, attacking fans. No. Your PR on the last show was so bad. You can take a lot of the reason your show failed, and even you track it back to that. Because, and something else, that they're making money. Companies want to make money. The fact they brought She-Ra back at all and changed it. It was another show, but they put the She-Ra name on it because the She-Ra name was worth something.
Yeah.
And they thought they could make money.
Money. Yeah, I mean, it was so bad that Melanie Britt, the voice actress of the original She-Ra, had to come out, and she didn't blast Noelle Stevenson.
No. She said, there's room for everybody.
She blasted the marketing people at DreamWorks because she said that should never be your marketing. Attacking old school fans should never be your marketing.
And She-Ra was already, the audience for He-Man and She-Ra was already incredibly diverse. The fan base was been diverse for years. It's always been diverse. And, until recently, for all the talk of them talking about how exclusionary and gatekept things were, I didn't see the level of gatekeeping and toxic bullshit behavior in fandoms until the last few years.
Yeah, it's really escalated. And I'm gonna say it goes back to, I think, Tumblr culture. And I know everybody talks about like all this toxic men that were gatekeeping the comic shops. I'm like, most of you never would have set foot in a comic shop anyway, because that would imply that you were going to buy something.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, not that's all men, but I saw girls in shops. And I've seen girls in other fandoms.
I have been going to comic shops since the mid to late 1980s. And actually, the one comic shop I went to was run by a woman. I have seen women in comic shops for decades. And I mean, it depends on where you're at, but women they've read comics. They've been involved in comics. Maybe they weren't as visible as they are now, but you had Jeanette Kahn running DC Comics for a number of years during its peak.
They just invented diversity. But let's get back to the point of this whole art thing, which is why are the top shows that you're seeing, they're children's shows, and a lot of them are on YouTube. So why might studios be like, we're going to go for kids shows? Because YouTube is kicking their asses with kids shows, and they don't have anywhere near the amount of toxic bullshit behavior and shipping and demands from people, whether it be, whether side you're on, with these shows.
I ship Coco Melon and Peppa Pig.
Yeah, they don't have. Yeah, I know. We don't have these factions, and they're like, "You didn't give me my ship with Coco Melon," Call
it chocolate covered bacon.
Chocolate bacon.
Chocolate bacon.
All right. Are you ready?
Anyway, yeah. So here's the thing: don't blame Clownfish TV. Blame.
They do. They
YouTube.
do blame us. It's funny.
Other YouTubers with massive audiences of
they have nothing
toddlers.
to do with She-Ra.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with She-Ra. And we heard firsthand from a sizable animation studio. They were like, yeah, we're pivoting to preschool content, just like Cartoon Network is pivoting to preschool content. Now, I think that this is probably a fad. I think that She-Ra rode in on the fad of Adventure Time.
Which was already outdated by the time it was released. I mean, She-Ra.
Yeah, because Adventure Time got turned down by many networks before Cartoon Network picked it up, and they didn't think it was going to be that big of a hit. And then that sort of like...
into the Steven Universe. I'm more thinking of Steven Universe because I'm just going to be blunt. Because lesbians. I'm just going to say it. I don't even care. That's what it was. Which I have absolutely nothing against people that are lesbians at all. No. I have nothing against people. I know people that are. No problem with it. My point is, that's what it comes down to. And by the way people are behaving... That's what they keep screaming about. Shipper culture.
Mm-hmm. Shipper culture.
That's why these things got pushed through.
Yeah, so they're talking about Disney who? Like Disney, they suck at YouTube. They really do. Like
they do.
Yeah, they really do. They're not good at it. And they're talking about well-funded companies moving into animation. The top animation channel on YouTube, Coco Melon.
Coco Melon's on Netflix. Coco Melon has stayed in the top 10 most popular shows like for a long time. It kicked He-Man out. Mm-hmm. I think it probably kicked She-Ra out. I wasn't watching it then, but if it was around then, it stays around 6 or 7 almost every week.
Oh yeah, yeah. So Moonbug Entertainment owns that. So these are actually like production studios producing this YouTube content. They're a London-based company founded in 2018. They acquire children's channels for tens of millions of dollars a piece. Mm-hmm. So they're going around buying up YouTube channels, which that's actually a thing now. It's kind of weird. I was reading about like Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning. They're actually going around and like investing in other people's YouTube channels.
It's smart.
It's smart, but it's also like at the end of the day, what if YouTube just snaps that channel away?
Well, that's true.
So,
but
DVD sales
they're invested in. They have direct lines to the people in charge. I'm sure they can stop that. But we have a list of the top 40 animation channels on YouTube.
Yeah, you can't even crack the top 40 if you have under 5 million subs. I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, this is ridiculous.
This is why the networks are joining for little kid shows, because they're trying to compete with YouTube. And they're trying to compete with Cocomelon, Baby Shark, Choo Choo TV.
Lulu.
Yeah, little baby bum.
Little baby.
Masha and the Bear, Voot Kids.
Voot Kids. I mean, it goes down. Peppa Pig is actually way down the list, which I'm surprised. But Peppa Pig's got more reach. One, she's getting her own theme park. And two, she's constantly on reruns, on TV.
Also, I want to point out some of these other channels, like Wow Kids Jingle Tunes. The language that it's mostly in is Hindi.
That is interesting.
Isn't it?
That is. Spanish, Portuguese. Yeah. The top 40, 16 million, Pink Panther.
Odd Ones Out is on there.
Yeah, well, technically, yeah, he's animation.
But I'm just saying, it's interesting to me. So these channels are getting all these views, and they're kicking mainstream's ass. And these are also free for people to watch, as opposed to having subscription to like Disney Plus or whatever. So why do you think these companies are canceling things like the Owl House and She-Ra and doing things like, what's the Bat Car show?
Batwheels. Batwheels.
Why do you think? It's not because YouTubers. No. I mean, it is because of YouTubers. Just not the way that these people want to blame. It is what it is.
And that is the business side of it. And I know a lot of people don't like it. You should dump millions and millions and millions of dollars into an animated series with no expectation of return, just
so they can have representation.
Just because you can have representation in shipping.
Yeah, ship bait. I want to point out that there will most definitely be toys for Batwheels. There are toys for Cocomelon at the store. There are toys for Peppa Pig at the store.
Ryan's World.
Yes.
A kid that opens toys, he gets his own
There are
toy
tons of toys that are at the thing based on YouTube channels and YouTubers and things like that. So these companies are going there because that stuff sells. And they want to make money. They don't want to just put cartoons out so you can give them a couple words, and then talk about them on Twitter with your 10 alt accounts to make it trending.
People like, I made fan art. That's great. That doesn't pay the bills. 500,000.
A lot of them make fan art and they sell it themselves. Doesn't pay their bills.
Doesn't pay their bills. Yeah. I mean, that's the reality. That's the cold hard reality. So if you want to blame somebody, don't blame Clownfish TV. Blame Cocomelon.
And you know what? Back to the She-Ra thing. Everything all the arguments you're making about why you should get a movie and why they shouldn't do a live action show are pretty much the same arguments that everybody who liked the old show had when they saw the new designs of the new show. And you guys, you're old, you're menopausal, you're terrible, you're a bad mom, you're just mad because you can't get off to She-Ra, you're an incel man baby. Toxic fans demanding that they get their way. Well, guess what? It's our show now. You know what? Karma is a bitch. And you guys deserve everything you're getting, because I have never seen so much toxic bullying bullshit as I have out of the She-Ras. And that's saying something, because I'm putting them over like people that are gaining people, the con people, the Raylos. You guys have them beat with toxic bullshit.
Literal death threats. We've gotten literal.
I've watched them harass other artists because they didn't Mermista. They told a girl to kill herself because she was fans of the original show and the new show, and she did Mermista from the original show, and they said that she whitewashed Mermista. No, she didn't whitewash Mermista. You guys washed Mermista.
Can't imagine why they don't want to chase that audience again.
No, have no idea.
Just gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it here at this beautiful.
Yeah, go back that.
1980s.
Here's
She-Ra
the main
set.
game. That's the She-Ra part. You can back this game, and then they have an expansion. You can have for $50. So go back that.
Go back it.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Tell Mattel.
That's right.
Gonna wrap it up?
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.